Original recipe here once again. Still waiting for our water taxi. I don't know what... Hey, there's real snow here. There's real snow here.
Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is Ship Updates. Now, with Captain Xylo at this point probably murdered and floating face down in Boston Harbor, how that's going to affect the ship pipeline, I can't really tell you at this point, but we do got a whole bunch of news. Some stuff about the Prospector, the Cutlass, and of course the Buccaneer. Some good news with the Buccaneer, but also some bad news too. So let's get right to it. And we also have a whole bunch of Matt Sherman stepped into what do they call it, Spectrum, and he had a little chat with people. I wasn't there, but someone thankfully posted some screenshots of the chat. So we're going to be dealing with that and kind of making a bulleted list and going through all the updates and the info of those ships as they're kind of almost on the cusp, it seems, of becoming a reality in games. So let's get started. Now, of course, on this week's ATV, we got video of the Cutlass Black, which is pretty much complete, it looks like. I mean, just absolutely these beautiful shots of the interior. When you see this, and I mean, I was messing around earlier today with my original Cutlass, and yeah, I can't wait to take this thing out. And of course, you can see the wider cargo bays, which is, you know, able to fit a Dragonfly. But they also went on to show us the Prospector, which is very close to completion. That's a big part of 3.0 when we're going to get the mining career. And, you know, here again, we got the Cutlass Black with this. You don't really get to see it, the side opening doors, but here's the Buccaneer. And there you can see the landing bay doors opening up on the Buccaneer. But unfortunately, there was some other news to go with the Buccaneer that we have to deal with, which was not so great. Now, Matt Sherman said, sadly, the weapon rack had to get cut from the Buccaneer. We were trying like a dozen different spots to make it work, but kept being too problematic for the spacing interactions needed to use a weapon rack. So I guess the animations and just where to place it on the ship and where would there be room and not interfere with other components, I guess that was too much of a problem for that to remain a part of the ship. Now, you may or may not remember, but going all the way back to the Buccaneer Q&A part 2 of the Buccaneer sale, Matt Sherman broke down sort of like the must-haves and the would-be-nices for the Buccaneer. And the smuggling bay, the overall cargo capacity in general, and the weapon rack were on the would-be-nice but not guaranteed side of things. Now, this is kind of where things get a little bit touchy, because these were big talking points and big selling points leading up to the sale. A whole bunch of these things, being able to carry your FPS weapons, being able to carry a little bit of cargo. And the Buccaneer was intended to kind of fill the role that the original Cutlass didn't quite fill. So this could end up kind of turning into a bit of a thing. Who knows? But overall, the rest of the Buccaneer is pretty much as it was described to us originally, except for the fact that, of course, the size 4 mount has been moved from the bottom and is now 100% confirmed. It is a spinal mount and not a ventral. Ventral, right? Ventral would be the belly, spinal would be the back. So yeah, it's a spinal mount now. So that should still be one single fixed size 4 or 2 fixed size 3s and then 2 gimbaled size 2s. I believe that whole breakdown still is intact for the ship. So overall, you still have the 2 size 1s on the wingtips, which I guess you can put Joker sucker punches in there and use that to kind of break down or screw up the systems on larger ships that you may or may not be attacking. But that still gives you the potential for 4 fixed size 3 guns, which, even though the lateral spacing of the guns on the ship is way less than ideal, the vertical spacing is still pretty good. So if you can get good overall hull alignment when you're firing at a target, depending on the target, that's still a fair amount of firepower for that ship to have. Now, of course, it's supposed to be faster and slightly more nimble than a Gladius, but at the same time a little less resilient than a Gladius as it's being described to us right now. So how that ship is actually going to turn out, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But of course, yeah, that is along with the smuggling spaces and the actual cargo spaces. That's the third of these kind of unique components that were unique to the ship that has now been cut from the design. And I mean, obviously, the way the whole cockpit and everything was designed, it was all very small. So I guess when they kind of came up with the concept, they just didn't leave themselves enough space to really do much with in the end. Now here we are, we're going to get into the Cutlass and Buccaneer chat that Matt Sherman did. I'm going to kind of paraphrase here and kind of jump through it, but I'm going to leave this was posted, actually, sorry, quickly, this was posted by Express92 on Reddit. He pasted the image. I'm going to post the link in the description below, so that way if you guys want to check this out and read everything that he said, it's all there. But anyways, let's just kind of bounce through it real quick. Now, the Cutlass, during the rework, it got a cowling over the missile racks. It was felt that this was, you know, one of the things that they wanted to change, so that it wouldn't be that easy for people to see what kind of missiles you were using. The Cutlass Red is going to be, so far, the only model of the Cutlass after the rework that keeps its toilet. So the black and the blue are going to be losing their washroom facilities, but the Cutlass Red is going to keep them. Now, the interior of the Cutlass Blue is going to have prisoner pods similar to the prisoner pods that you see in the Avenger, and the Cutlass Black is just going to be basic stuff. Tractor beam controls, transport seats for raiding teams, and some weapon racks and lockers, I guess, to support the loadouts of the people you're bringing out to raid with. Also, all the kind of crappy buttons inside of the Cutlass Black that if you're an owner or if you're a previous owner, you may have had some experience with when you're trying to open a door and it keeps putting you in the passenger seat or in the turret. All those buttons, of course, are replaced and now apparently fully functional properly. So a lot of those frustrations will be gone for the Cutlass Black owners who have experienced them. The sliding side doors that you see on the new models of the Cutlass Black are universal to all the models of the Cutlass. So the blue and the red will have those sliding side doors as well. Now, of course, one thing to bear in mind is if you open those sliding side doors, you can vent the atmosphere out of the rear of the ship. So, you know, use at your own risk. The rear ramp, however, is going to have kind of like an atmospheric shield, sort of like the Prowler has, but that is for the rear ramp only and not for the side doors. You won't be able to control any of the ship doors from the cockpit. You will have to go to that location and push the buttons to manually open the doors. Alright, here's something about the Dragonfly. Dragonflies will not be able to mag latch onto other ships. So if you've seen the magnetic pads on the bottom of a Dragonfly, you can't use that to latch onto another ship and then be transported around. Or I suppose possibly to even just latch on the ship, period. And finally, I guess really the only big thing or the only big reveal is that Matt Sherman described that once interdiction is more of a thing, apparently the Buccaneer is going to be one of the hardest to interdict fighters in the game. So it's going to be one of the most difficult fighters to actually physically catch in the universe in terms of interdiction. So it could probably still quantum away. You could probably still blow it up. But it's going to be one of the most difficult fighters for you to actually catch and stop from running away. So that could possibly be a selling point, is it's a good ship to have that when things go sideways, you can always just bug out and run. Now, finally, on Happy Hour this week, we did get a little bit of a hint that currently in Austin, they are working on a new ship. Now, there is, of course, some previous information which could shed some light on that, which is, of course, when Chris Smith was done the Super Hornet, I believe the next thing he was doing was a space bike, and then moving on to, I believe it was the 300 rework after that. So, you know, they kind of indicated that over in Austin, they wanted to kind of show some footage of that this week, but I guess they weren't allowed to do so. So possibly the next concept sale could be the new space bike, or if not the next concept sale, probably the one after that, because you'll all remember that the Dragonfly was a space bike that came together very, very quickly. We were seeing hints of it almost immediately after it was confirmed that they were working on it. And I mean, you know, we had the concept sale in June, and then we were seeing it, people riding around and flying on it by the end of August, and on since then we've seen it again and again, though strangely we're still not flying it, which would be nice if we're going to be waiting a long time for 3.0 to maybe throw that in a little mini patch sometime soon. Anyways, that's the show for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.